Another really good question that I get asked pretty frequently. Now, I'm going to explain the two most common methods that people might use when they're referring to intermittent fasting. Both of them rely on the same sort of principle, but they just arrive at that outcome slightly differently. So think 2 plus 2 equals 4, 1 plus 3 equals 4. They both have the same outcome. We took a slightly different way to get there, but essentially same but different. So when it comes to intermittent fasting, people will sometimes do what we call the 5 and 2, where they'll heavily restrict for 2 days of the week and then have a relaxed eating pattern for 5 days of the week. Now this will work for as long as somebody can adhere to it and as long as they are in a calorie deficit, right? So the same rule applies for what we call time restricted feeding. Now this is somebody who may only choose to eat between the hours of 10 till 6 or 9 till 3, whatever it is. It will work if they enter a calorie deficit and if they can adhere to it long term. Would I recommend this to any of my clients? I'm going to go with probably not. Now, there is a number of reasons for this, and it's not because it's right or wrong, because it definitely does work for some people. But one thing I would say, if you are going to choose to do this, please make sure that you have a really healthy relationship with food and you know how to build a healthy and balanced diet where you hit both your macro and micronutrients. I often find a method like this is rather unrealistic, especially for busy women. Say if you do time restricted feeding and you are supposed to start eating at 1 p.m, well then you're not going out for breakfast with your friends. And I often find that I like to teach that there is joy and connection to be found in food, and there's a time and a place for all foods. I don't like placing restrictions, especially heavy restrictions around who, what, when, where, and why you can enjoy things, because I want people to build a healthy relationship with their body and with food. So I do things entirely differently. My clients don't even calorie count. So there is a time and a place for different methods, but it will all come down to the individual and what they're trying to achieve and what's going to be best for them, both mentally and physically. So my approach is just slightly different. I like to teach my clients to eat for life. The aim is at the end of my program is that my clients don't necessarily need me for nutrition support. They might keep me on for a little bit of accountability, but hopefully I've given them all the tools that they need to apply to their life so that they can have a healthy, sustainable, good relationship with food and their body. That is my main aim. So I'm not into the short sharp. I'm into building some really good habits and maybe unlearning some old ones. So quick fixes are definitely out the window, but that's just how I prefer to do things and how I find that it is just a little bit more of a long-term approach rather than something that is a little bit more restrictive. So we want to be able to apply flexibility to what we're doing because that's life, right? Life isn't always linear. It doesn't always go into routine or little sections. We've got to be able to think on the fly. So yeah, that's my opinion on intermittent fasting. Please feel free to ask me any other questions.